Welcome to Steward Leaders, a podcast for leaders who understand that our leadership is not about us. I'm Eric Alexander. In these conversations, we explore what it means to lead as stewards, living our leadership for something bigger than ourselves. Listeners, thanks for joining us today, and hello to you as well, Christopher Williston. I'm so grateful you've made some time for us to have a steward leadership conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So y'all are going to enjoy this. Christopher and I have had some conversations in other formats, and this is about a topic that we're both passionate about. But let me tell you a little bit about him first. Christopher is the president and CEO of Independent Bankers Association of Texas. This is a whole mouthful. Tends to get shortened down to IBAT. And so he's been at the president CEO role for I think 9 years of that, and we've served in various roles before that. And a TCU grad, he did some student or youth ministry along the way, former bank teller back in the day, so he served on the front lines. He's a good man, he's a husband, he's a dad to 6 children. Go families with 6 children. There aren't that many of us, but and he's a good friend. And so Christopher, so glad to have you here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, there's a lot of folks out there that learned their lesson before they got to 6 kids. Not all of us.
Well, we learn different lessons, and what I've learned is quivers come in different sizes.
Very well said.
Ours filled up at 6.
That's that is correct. That is correct. And no 2 arrows are the same.
That's true. That's true. We could spend a lot of time there. My kids are all older. I'm at this stage now. You can't tell by our voices if you're just listening, you really can't tell if you're seeing this on video. I am older than Christopher. In fact, his
virtually
kids
indistinguishable from one another. Yeah.
His kids are the ages of my grandkids. Yeah. So that probably says something about. All right, we'll move on. I want to talk for just a minute about IBAT and then let you expand on it a little bit. So, community banks in Texas, and as I've been in this journey, consulting, coaching, working with community banks and others, IBAT's been a powerful resource for me for making connections in the industry, getting to know lots of good people. I've been able to speak at, I lose track now at how many different conferences where you've had me as a breakout speaker and meeting all sorts of neat people. You also do advocacy, a variety of things. And when I was at the bank, when I was at Happy State Bank, it was one of the places our leadership would plug in and benefit from those kind of relationships. So talk a little bit about IBAT, and then we're going to dive into stewardship and culture.
Well, I think you hit on the thing I would always want people to hit on first. Is you said your leadership would plug into those relationships, and I think that's what IBAT's all about at its core. Community banking is such a relationship-oriented business to begin with, and so it just makes good sense that community bankers would come together and build a relationship and tackle shared challenges. I also think one of the really impactful things that I've noticed about community banking over the years is, you've got some competitive issues in markets.
Sure.
But generally speaking, everybody's doing the same work and they're doing it in their little corner of the world, and are very willing to come together and just talk about the things that they're dealing with and how we tackle those things together. So IBAT's a community first. Yes, it's an advocacy organization. We were founded for advocacy, particularly to represent only the community banking voice. And I think that's really especially important this day and age as we see community bankers get wrapped up in some discussions that really aren't community banking issues. They're broader banking issues. We always have to have this really dedicated voice to make sure that community banks can stand on their own 2 feet, can tell their own story, and not be put out in front of things that really aren't appropriate to them. So advocacy is incredibly important. The relationships are incredibly important. And what we try to do more than anything as an organization is bring people together and make it seamless and easy for them to interact with each other. You think so much about organizations that are focused on bringing people together, but there's a magic thing that happens if we bring people together and meet their needs in a way that allows them to just be relaxed and open with each other. I've been to some conferences, we'll just say some conferences where literally, you come out of a session and there's no lunch, there's no food, there's no snacks provided, things like that. And so what happens? People immediately just go, okay, what restaurants are open? They're starting to scan. They start to get that.
Scatter.
Yeah, they scatter. What are we going to do? One of the things that we've tried to focus in on at IBAT is to think about just how do we take away all of those types of concerns for people so they can be present, they can be in the moment, so that they're not scattering and get the most out of the limited time that they have with one another, right? We bring people together for shared purpose, but for those relationships. So we've got to care and feed for those relationships, and
Right.
caring and feeding for those relationships often means caring and feeding for people.
Some literal
right?
feeding.
Yeah.
Couple of comments, and your team is really good at the caring too. And I've never felt underfed at one of the events, but it's amazing to me how several touch points through the year. So I'll be at a conference. I'll be in Waco 3 weeks from now, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
right.
there's a conference this summer. You have your annual convention. Y'all make a tour where you go. Several touch points, and even if I'm only seeing some of these community bankers or various people like myself who are serving community bankers a couple times a year, it's amazing how quickly those relationships can develop. Now, there's some intentionality there.
Sure.
The other thing that strikes me is, as leaders, we can feel isolated. As leaders in rural community banks, we are geographically isolated, and we
True.
can feel professionally isolated. And to have the ability to connect with other people and people who are serving other banks, people serving in other banks, and find out, hey, I'm not the only one dealing with succession challenges, with a clunky core system, with being able to find others to commiserate with and get solutions from, even if it's not going on in the front of the room. I've seen that's really powerful, and that's applicable across industries.
It is, and maybe it's misery loves company, Eric. But I don't. I think it's more powerful than that. One of I think a lot about the COVID era and the times that we were going through, and in particular, and you remember them well, community banks going through the paycheck protection process, paycheck protection program, just trying to figure out day to day how to make loans and how to do it in compliant with the rules of the program as they existed at that moment.
And then change that afternoon
And
over
then
and over
change that
again.
afternoon, right? And asking
Right.
what's going to happen. And one of the things that always stood out to me in that process was that people would call me with these questions. They'd be like, "Well, we don't know this, we don't know that, we don't know this," and just to hear you're not alone, right? Like, you're right, you don't know that. And I've heard the same thing from 15 people. We've got the question up to the SBA. You're not alone in that. There's tremendous power in that, and to feel it, we can say it. You can, but like when you really dig into a conversation with people aren't always looking for answers. They want to know that there's other people with them in the midst of the
Right.
chaos, and just that they're not being left behind. Right? What
Right.
is there's this thing I should know that everybody else knows that I don't? It's that imposter syndrome too. I think that leaders have often. And so once you hear that, then it's like, okay, all right, I'm not alone. And truly, I do have, other people that are struggling through the same things I am, and that means I'm not only not alone, I'm not incompetent, which is always nice to know, right?
That's good to hear. Well, the application outside of community banking is leaders. Find others you can talk to. Find gatherings of people of like interest and like roles that you can, or even if it's just one-offs, individuals, and it's powerful, and I've
This
experienced
is the power of associations, and it's
Yes.
the joy that I get. My dad and my grandfather before me both worked in association work, which is sort of this invisible profession that exists out there in the marketplace, but it's just about helping bring people together in that way. Unfortunately, a lot of those opportunities for professionals have disappeared in our culture, our society, or maybe they still exist, but we've kind of written them off, right? Like,
Or they've
oh,
gone completely virtual.
yeah, they've gone completely virtual. Sure. I mean, all kinds of things have happened to them, but I guess, and maybe it's just my vantage point where I am. Feels like people are trying to get back to that a little bit. They're beginning to realize what they've lost and the impact that it has on our ability to connect and to do our jobs, and even just honestly to feel like you have a little bit of therapy along the way with like-minded people. And so I like to hope springs eternal, that those kinds of opportunities are going to come back in a more meaningful way in our society.
Well, we were created as social beings,
We were.
And there, depending on where we are on the introversion extroversion continuum, socialization can be one person or it can be 50, but we still have that need. And it's interesting.
That's right.
You brought up that aspect of it. It's not just the information, but in a way, it's also just the fellowship of people that are in a similar situation.
That's right. Yeah, and to jump on it, we are created that way.
Right.
And as a theologian, because that's my part
Right.
that's
That's your
my
background.
training and my part-time not even part-time my hobby basically.
Right. Your avocation.
There's this statement in theology that said that God is a communion of persons. That
Yes.
if you think about the triune God being a communion of Father, Son, Holy Spirit existing in reality together, there's a constant back and forth between those persons of the Trinity. And if we are created in the image of that God, who is, yes, one God, but actually a communion of persons, then we need communion with persons, right?
It's the reason we have that need.
Yeah, whether we're introverted or not, it's still something that exists somewhere inside of us.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on one thing, just kind of as a random factoid, while we pivot here in a second.
Sure.
Christopher, you said you're the third generation doing association work, and I've met your dad. You're also the sixth Christopher in a row, right? You're Christopher
correct.
Williston, Roman numeral VI.
That's correct. You got it.
Now, we've had this conversation. I'm pretty sure none of your six kiddos went Christopher. Or
No, I do have one.
You do have a Christopher.
I do have
Okay.
Christopher the seventh. Yes.
Christopher the seventh. All right.
Yes.
Well, I thought you'd broken the trend, but
No, I haven't. I'm not that brave.
okay.
Just didn't feel right.
Yeah, there you go. Well, throwaway factoid. Let's
Okay,
go to the main
okay.
topic for today.
Okay. Very good.
So this is a Steward Leaders podcast, and so I want to talk about stewardship. And you've worked in community bank back when you
sure.
were working part-time, and now you're working extensively with and serving community banks. You see all kinds of things in community banking. How does stewardship relate to the leadership responsibilities in community banks? And of course, that's going to have application in other areas, but banks is who you're serving right now. Was that grammatical? But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. And so when I think stewardship, and I know you have a better or a more precise definition, I always just think, like we've been entrusted to care for something for a period of time, right? And what is more important or impactful, first off, than entrusted with people's money, their resources, the safety, soundness, security of the thing that they use to feed their family? So that's, first and foremost, I always think about, and the best bankers I've known have understood that responsibility that they have to run a good bank, not just for their own performance, but also for the good of the people that come to work for them. I'll never forget, Eric, this one time I was in a bank president's office, and he looked at me just dead cold in the face and just said, I got 100 families that I go to bed thinking about every night. That if I screw up, that their world becomes very unknown and scary. And that has always stood with me from a stewardship standpoint, that he is, and we all do this to some degree, or should, as leaders. We're carrying the weight of families. We're carrying the weight of the people that we work with, that we lead. But then, you go one step further than that, and you go for community bankers in particular, all of the people that depend on you and the safety, soundness, security. They may not, sure, they may have FDIC insurance, and they may have other backstops to kind of protect them and make sure. But at the end of the day, your ability to stand in the gap and make good decisions and protect them and put good cybersecurity protocols in place and good fraud protocols, all the stuff that we think about as burdens all the time, it's really about protecting that trust.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I keep using that word, in trust. Mm-hmm. For all that policymakers and crypto bros and others want to talk about this new financial reality that's being created for us, you can't underestimate the power of trust and the responsibility that people have put with us, and then ultimately built upon with us over decades in some cases, or multiple generations in some cases, where, hey, yeah, that bank may not have the best technology, may not have this, but I trust those people. They're going to do right by us. They're going to take care of us. They're going to make sure.
Mhm.
And that is, you see that in a lot of industries, but I think it's particularly potent and impactful when you start talking about community banking.
So there's so much there I want to touch on. I want to key off the last thing you said there about the trust. Okay, I'm thinking, I've never been a lender, but we work
Sure.
with lenders.
Yeah.
And of course, what's one of the things that lenders and credit departments are paying attention to, and we extend credit, is we've got the
Mhm.
various C's of credit, cash
Yep.
flow, et cetera, collateral, character.
Character.
The trustworthiness, when a bank extends credit,
Hmm.
there's a degree of, not a degree, there is trust there and confidence of some nature that that will be repaid. In
Yeah.
a bank, we often don't think about it this way, but depositors who are placing their funds with a bank are doing the same thing. They're
The
extending credit
liability,
to the
right?
bank,
Absolutely.
and there are things that banks do to signal in a good way, with our architecture, with our, we have names that sound serious and stable. We're not flash in the pan state bank. We've got these, you know, nice, stable buildings with big vault doors, things that say stable, strong, secure, you
Yep.
can trust us, because they are extending their credit to us when they place their deposits with us.
It was so hard for me to understand as a 19, 20-year-old bank teller why why deposits are considered liabilities. I'm like, no, no, I don't understand. People are bringing us money. But it is a liability. You now
It's
owe
not our
that.
money.
It's not our
Yeah,
money.
that's right.
And it is a liability that is now owed to them, but with that and with that comes a significant responsibility. So it's a really good clue that you just jumped on there. That I think a lot of people don't put it that way, think about it that way.
Well, when I think about bank leaders, the bank itself is a steward as an institution.
Sure.
It is the steward of resources that depositors and shareholders have entrusted.
Hmm.
And then leaders inside a bank, they're stewarding a steward organization.
Yep.
And so it's not about me. I like how you started it. I've been entrusted with something for a period of time.
Yeah.
That period of time is important, but that the bank has been entrusted, the leaders have been entrusted with their role and a variety of the pieces of the management. But come to that period of time, because that has an interesting implication.
Yeah, I gotta always keep in mind that that period of time will end, right? And it's sure it's we can always say, how do I leave it better than I found it? There's that. But I think also taking seriously the responsibility we have and how we engage with and within those organizations for the time that we do, recognizing, Simon Sinek always talks about how some of the privileges for a rank or for a position, they live with that position, right? The let's use one that I think is really common in banking. Like, okay, you get use of a company vehicle, or you get, you know, well, that's a privilege of the position, right? It's not a privilege of the person. And I think we all like, this is where we have to focus in that the leaders that struggle are when they start to think this is for me. Like I'm that good. I'm that impressive. No, somebody has decided that you can be entrusted with that position, and there are certain privileges that come with that position, but those exist for now and for this period of time. And there will come a day where you will no longer have that position for one reason or another, and those privileges will not be yours anymore. How many people have you seen, Eric, that struggle with that? Right?
Right.
That get back to that end of and they go, why? I don't understand why. It's like nobody cares about me anymore. Well, you're right. You got the privileges of the position for the time that you held that. So just always, the humility that we need to inhabit as leaders is realizing that we are time bound, both in responsibility, but also in the privileges. I'm so thankful we're time bound in the responsibilities, right? Like one day, the stuff that I worry about, it won't be mine to
Right.
carry anymore.
Right.
I pray to God that I can hand it off to somebody and they'll go, that guy did an amazing job and now it's my turn to take it on. But also, if we're not careful, we can get to the point that we go, oh, but but I really liked those privileges.
Right.
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 And, or
Right.
maybe we define ourselves by those privileges
Hmm.
too much in an unhealthy way. We
Right.
got to walk that line.
That not about me can be really subtle. It can manifest in big ways and small ways, and
Yeah.
not helpful.
It's danger. There's danger there. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting. Well, there's another part you talked about here about carrying the weight. Explore that a little bit more. Let
Oh,
me back up. I had a
yeah.
conversation with somebody else recently, one of these episodes, and I forget how the quote went. It was stewardship should scare you or make you really sober
Yeah.
and also excite you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that first part is real. And why is that? And maybe you talk about the second part too. And I wish I
Yeah.
could quote it right because he said it in a really pithy way in the moment.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and find it so I can hear it because I'm gonna adopt it. I'm gonna steal it as my own. Um, yeah, it should scare you because it's serious. I mean, there are real implications. I bear the burden of an industry on my back, and is success or failure solely on me? No, of course it's not. That would be unreasonable.
Right.
But still, do I feel the totality of that responsibility on me? Do I feel like it is my job to get up today, not only for what I'm getting paid, but because of the yes that I've given to the organization that I serve, to give everything I've got to try to make sure that we're successful? Of course I do. And that
Right.
that is scary. That is scary. It it comes with, that I think that the hardest part of any leadership position is that feeling like I don't want to fail, not just for my own good, but I don't want to fail because I don't want to let down the people
Right.
that have given me this opportunity. I think
Right.
almost every day about the men and women that were on the search committee that hired me almost 9 years ago. And I've told them, like, I almost every day I think about, I don't want to ever have them question, did we make the right choice or not? So when you think about that, and when you carry that around, and we should, as
Yep.
leaders, should
Yep.
carry that around, it is scary, but it's also exciting. I hope anybody that's in a leadership position is there because they genuinely think, I don't believe that there's anyone who could do this better than I can. You know? So I'm excited that other people have looked and seen and given me the opportunity to show that that's right. That is exciting. Yeah, you take on the burden, and you sometimes you maybe wish it wasn't there, or you so, there are mornings when I wake up and I tell my wife, I'm just not sure I want to be me today, right?
Does she say helpful things like, I've been wishing you weren't you for a long time? I know that's not the case,
Thank you,
but
thank you, Eric.
the
Yeah,
only
but
reason I said that is I felt confident that's not the case.
that's not the case. It is
Yeah.
not, but she may think it, but she doesn't say it. So we'll just leave that there, and we don't need to worry about
Okay.
it too much.
Post-production, I may come edit this part out.
Please don't. I think it's
Okay, there we
good.
go.
It's the goal of the whole thing. But you do. Yeah, sure. You don't want the scariness and the weight of responsibility, but you do want the opportunity to show the world, like, I can do this. My team can do this. Like, we put it together. We're going to do stuff that nobody else has ever tried before because we believe in ourselves, and that's
Right.
exciting. You'd be crazy if that weren't exciting.
Well, so the bank I worked at, Happy State Bank,
Yep.
part of the mission kicked off with work hard, have fun, make money. And it went on. Let's see how'd it go. By providing exceptional customer service and living the golden rule, something like that, those 5 elements.
Awesome.
And that's a powerful combination.
Yeah.
One of the things that sometimes people would misunderstand, okay, look at the name, Happy State Bank. There are some people that thought that's just a marketing ploy, or
Sure.
it's actually a little town about an hour south of here. That's the little town of Happy.
Yep.
Apparently, some pioneers were traveling across the panhandle and found some water, and they were really excited about it and very happy. I don't know. That's my take on
That
it.
was survival, right?
But people sometimes will look at that second part of the mission, have fun, work hard, have fun, make money, and think it was pizza parties, or we would have cornhole contests, or there was a period of time our deposit operations every afternoon would put the phones on hold and stand up and have dance minute. What I showed up one time and they disinvited me from ever coming again. But sometimes people would think that was the part of the have fun. But what really struck me over time is how much deeply satisfying joy, fun we had working hard and accomplishing amazing things together. That weightiness didn't always beat us down. There was something in us that made us want to sit up straight and take care of that. We want to serve that shareholder well. We want to take good care of that customer. And the fact that it's weighty, unless I am just totally overburdened and have nobody to help me, that's actually an ennobling, exciting.
It's incredible, right? And it's rare. Think of the number of people that you know that are going to work every day and just trying to exist inside a deeply dysfunctional environment.
Right.
They're spending their time and their effort every day just navigating bureaucracies or internal politics or toxicity and all this stuff that makes it so that you never get to the fun part. You never get to the challenging part, the part that does allow you to sit up and go, look, we accomplished something really great. No, like, what did I accomplish today? I just kept the toxic boss off my back. He didn't yell at me. He yelled at somebody else today. That's not living. It's not living. It's not ennobling to steal your word. But when you do have a functional culture, even if it's got some dysfunctions around the edges of it, because it's still human.
Will. It has people in it.
It's still human.
You still work there.
Yep, exactly. If the good stuff, if the ennobling stuff outweighs the junk, and you truly get to work on stuff that you feel does have impact and meaning to people, then it is fun.
Yeah.
Right? It is. One of the mantras that we come back to all the time at IBAT is, I love what we do. And usually we say, I love what we do in the middle of just a crazy, like, we're overwhelmed, or we've just had a bizarre interaction with somebody, or just something like, not sure how we're going to navigate that.
I've been meaning to apologize for that interaction, Christopher. So, yeah.
Not at all. Love what we do, Eric.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever it is. I mean, there's just so much that you deal with. You just, if we can put a smile on our face and go, I love what we do, because it is about, we're going to tackle that challenge together. Right. Whatever the difficulties that we're gonna figure it out.
And we take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's life in a workplace with people, serving people, with people as vendors. We've got people as regulators. And you brought up culture. We're going to have a part 2 of the conversation here where we'll dive deeper into culture, but it definitely connects back to the stewardship.
For sure.
I also want to draw a connection back to where you started, where you said one of the benefits of an association like IBAT is being able to gather with other people. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I've seen happen in a really powerful way in the workplace, it doesn't always, but when it does, it can be magical, is we work together. I'm not bearing the burden alone. My stewardship responsibilities are weighty. And that's a good thing, provided I'm resourced and I'm equipped to bear them.
Sure.
There can be a mismatch, but if I have things that are appropriate for my background and my capabilities, and they're weighty, but I don't bear them alone. Now, it doesn't mean I shirk, but there are things we do together, and that coming together to work on those stewardship responsibilities, when it goes well, or when we get through a hard season together, think about the bonding that happens. You talked about, hey, there's something challenging went on. When you get through that together, the team's tighter, hopefully, if there's some baseline healthy culture, and the things you can do together after that are even just more amazing.
And that's personal and professional. And that's one of the things I think we can lose sight of really easily. All of us are living the roller coaster of life.
Yes.
The highs and the lows. And I said this in a presentation I gave recently. Do you know how powerful it is to give other people permission to be human? Do you know how powerful it is to say, you know what, I see you right now. Like I know what you're going through, or just trying to and So yeah, we're not only doing the hard thing, but we're also recognizing that the hard things extend to our personal lives as well.
Yes,
And as a
yes.
team, we're stepping in. We talk a lot about we're a high trust, high responsibility culture at IBAT, and what that means to us is, in part, yeah, I'm going to handle my stuff, but also, Eric, I'm gonna be watching you, and if I see that you're stumbling up the hill a little bit,
Mm,
and maybe it's because something really hard's going on with your kids, right?
right.
It becomes
Or
how.
aging parents, or there's been a
Oh,
death in the family, or
yes. Yes, and yes, and yes, all of it. How do I come alongside you, pick up that burden, and help you carry it up the hill? If I see you're about to go on vacation, I go, what can I do while you're on vacation to make sure you can fully engage on vacation? What can I pick up?
yeah,
And that's the give and take. That's the flow of real culture. Not just we're going to do hard things together, but we're also going to recognize all of us are going through hard times in life. It's part of what it means to be human. How do we help each other through those times?
and
Man,
we'll honor each other as humans, as
yeah,
image bearers,
wow,
as and the other part of this, my weighty responsibilities are not just the ones at work.
yeah,
You're a father of six,
yeah.
and they range from out of the house down to younger ones,
Yeah. 8 is my
and
youngest, 20 is my oldest.
right,
There's a lot of stuff going on simultaneously.
there's a lot of stuff going on simultaneously, and those stewardship responsibilities are weighty and full of joy and full of challenge, and you don't do them alone. And speaking of not doing it alone, as a fellow Christ follower, this will make sense to you. And I've had opportunities, even with some of the people I'm coaching who are Christ followers, to say, in this challenge, you're not handling this by yourself. You've got a team around you. I'm here for you, and the Holy Spirit's at work in your life for your good, for God's glory, through what's going on in your work. And so that's something that gives us comfort and joy too.
Praise God for that.
Yeah.
All of it.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Well, we will have part two and talk more about culture, but anything on this more stewardship focused part you want to talk about before we wind down and take a quick break?
No, I think we've probably got plenty for part 2, though. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, very good. Well, Christopher, thanks so much. There's lots here for all of us as steward leaders to be thinking about. Christopher, thanks so much for taking time for today's conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Steward Leaders. If this conversation was helpful, you can find more episodes and additional resources at stewardleaderspodcast.com. Leadership is temporary. Stewardship is about forever.